Welcome to Behind the Barcode, the podcast that goes beyond the label to uncover the stories of the faces behind your favorite products. We're your hosts, Anna and Sydney.
In this podcast, we dive into the dynamic world of consumer packaged goods with a focus on better-for-you products. As entrepreneurs ourselves, we know firsthand the challenges and triumphs of bringing a product to market. That's why we're here to share the journeys of fellow innovators, industry experts, and entrepreneurs who are making waves in the CPG space.
Join us as we sit down with inspiring guests to explore the stories behind the UPC codes, uncovering the passion, perseverance, and purpose driving their businesses forward. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a budding startup, or simply curious about the stories behind the products you love, this podcast is for you.
So grab your favorite snack and get ready to go behind the barcode.
Hello, and welcome back to Behind the Barcode. Today we have two very special guests, Jay and Asha. They're the co-founders of AshaPops, which I've been a huge fan of for so many years now. It's just a full circle moment to have you guys on Behind the Barcode, and I can't wait to fully get into it and hear your whole story. So if you guys just want to start and tell us about yourselves and how you got started with AshaPops and your whole story.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. And yeah, like we were talking before, Anna and we met Anna like 7 years ago at the farmers markets in UCLA. And so it is pretty awesome. And I'm so glad you're able to start this entire setup and your company. But thank you for having us. I'm Jay, and this is my mom, Asha, and we started AshaPops about 7 years ago. And the vision was to sort of bring plant-based superfoods that mom, Asha, grew up eating in India that she doesn't see here in the US. And she started eating these popped water lily seeds at night again because she was having trouble sleeping at night. And that's sort of how, AshaPops started. We never intended this to be a sort of a food business. It was just her and I at the farmer's market trying to bring this to our community. And one thing led to another. And, here we are with a lot of blessings and a lot of support from early customers and supporters like Anna. So, and Mom, would you like to add anything?
No, I remember Anna as a little girl, and now I see her such a grown-up doing her own. It's so inspiring and motivating, to know that nowadays youngsters, they not just get degree and look for job. There's so much of creativity in them, and they motivate themselves and to us, also. At my age also, you were such a great motivation to me,
That makes me so happy. Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday when I would go to the Westwood farmers markets and you guys had the AshaPops in clear plastic bags. You were giving me different samples of new flavors that you were testing out. Yeah. And I just thought it was the coolest, most innovative product, and I was using them for everything. I was adding the cocoa ones to my cereal. I loved tasting the different flavors that you guys were coming out, and I just always connected with you guys just because you have the best energy, and I know that you're the chief energy officer, chief energy CEO. Officer, the CEO. And you really just feel it through your products, and it's so cool to see how far you guys have come. I see you guys everywhere, and it's my go-to snack. I mean, I've bought it in the airport, see it at every grocery store I pretty much go to, and it's just amazing too.
No, it's crazy. I haven't followed you guys way back then since the Westwood Farmers Market, but very close to that. So I think maybe a year or two after that, because I met Anna through Instagram. Okay. So when she would do her farmers market hauls, I would see you guys when she would post on Instagram. And so that's how we connected, and then that's how I found out about you guys too, is because she would post.
That's awesome.
And then I also worked for Erewhon, so I knew you guys through Erewhon.
Yep.
And it's really cool, as Anna said, to see that the distribution. I mean, I go anywhere now and I see you guys on shelf, and it's really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And it truly is, I keep going back to Anna, but it's people like Anna who really supported us. Like every time she'd bring more and more friends, right? And that was it's just open, loving energy. And, people ask us like, we're still growing. We're not a massive company, but how did you guys start from the farmers markets? And it's truly because of people like Anna who supported us, right? Like just out of the goodness of their hearts. without which we could not have been here. I don't know if Mom would want to add to that, but I think truly I feel like it's because of people like Anna that we're here, because there's no other way
That's so nice.
for a company like ours with no prior food experience, right? Like we just we don't really fit the bill when it comes to resumes for a food company, and to be able to sort of even grow it through the National Food Channel has been because of a lot of support. So thank you, Anna, and to all those like Anna who supported us from the start. So.
That's really sweet.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell us about India, how you grew up, and then how, just your whole story, how you ended up here.
And also, what water lily seeds are.
Yes.
What are these? Like, where do
And
they come from?
I big Indian food lover over here. Okay, like I go to. Do you know Mayura?
Yes, of course.
In Culver City.
She's a cute Indian lady.
Yes, it's that's my favorite. I don't know if it's the best of the best, but from what I know from my Indian friends,
Yeah,
it's
she's
pretty
awesome.
authentic.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that Indian food and all cuisines change when they come to the United States to fit the American palate. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
But I love Indian food. I'm
Cheers.
gonna stop
Thank you.
there.
So
Yeah.
much. Indian food usually is full of spice.
Yes.
And if I remember my school days, I had learned Vasco da Gama. They all came to India because of the spices. And if I'm not wrong, the Columbus also was
Yes.
in search of the spice.
Yes,
Coming to India.
that's correct.
He landed in USA. Really.
Yes.
What short I meant to say is that from very beginning in India, we follow that Ayurveda system, So this you should not eat with that product, this you should not eat at this time. So everything had very constructive, that
Yes.
our cooking is, without thinking, it is properly balanced with protein, carbohydrates, fiber. It is so well, our recipes,
It is.
our cuisine, like breakfast to dinner, we have very set menu, and balanced by itself. We don't have to say, okay, come on, what do I have for protein? Oh, what do I have for
Exactly.
fiber? It's so well balanced with proper spices and as per the weather. If it's hot season, we have other set of recipes and food that we eat. In winter, we had different set of food that we
Which is
eat.
how it should
It
be,
should
actually.
be,
Yeah.
and of course, in our time, we didn't eat outside food at all, except we were traveling. But it was always emphasis was on home food. But I think that was a very different era, because mothers were not working; they were housewife committed. So I think we had that luxury of having always home food.
Yeah.
But nowadays, of course, I wish all this generation also gives little this on home food, at least one meal,
I
Simple,
know.
but made with your hand, because your vibes also are very important,
Yeah. Yeah.
What vibes you make food and you eat,
Made with
Yeah.
love.
with
Yes.
love. That also you don't, it automatically you make with love, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you know what ingredients you are using, second thing,
Yes.
So yeah, times have changed, but girls are so much at par with. In our time,
Yeah.
like boys were different, girls are different. Girls are good
Yes.
for homework, and
Everything has changed, but
now
then and the
girls are so
Yes.
innovative. It's so
which makes us more disconnected from our food too. So like when you order from the Postmates app, all these things, I really try not to.
Yeah.
Like that's my last resort.
Yes.
I'm not that person who will order from
Yes.
delivery. Even if I do order for something for the house, I actually like to drive to go get it
Yeah.
at least.
yes.
And I know you don't do it either. I don't do it really, rarely. Few things, but we become so disconnected. And Anna and I enjoy cooking a lot. And I'm reading a whole book right now on the body ecology diet, which talks about everything you're talking about in Ayurveda and the food combining certain things, which is cool because in the Indian cuisine, it's already that way.
Yeah.
It's not I have to think about it. It's just how it's crafted. Like even how when you marinate the chicken with the yogurt, it breaks down the enzymes that help with digestion, like all these things.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm like a nerd when it comes to food.
That's cool.
But go ahead.
So I guess so in terms of, so she grew up in the city of Bombay in India, and it's called Mumbai now, but she grew up in Bombay, and growing up as a kid as well, like this, these seeds were her popcorn, if you will, right? Her mom ate it, her grandma ate it, so it's been around for sort of generations. But Mom, maybe you can talk more about it.
Yeah, when girls was like 67, they had their menses or something, you had cramps, eat this.
Really?
After delivery, you have low back pain and all that. This was added, I told you, as in balls, protein balls, or in some form or the other, we were made to eat these seeds,
Wow, interesting.
So how do you make them? Like,
Yeah.
are they like smaller seeds and you guys
Yeah,
pop them? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so they come from an Indian variety of a water lily flower, and they come from the sort of the north central part of India, from specifically from a state called Bihar. And basically, in every water lily sort of pod, there's about 20 to 25 seeds, and then they're collected by the farmers and then sort of harvested, right? And so we get these seeds from the farmers, and we bring them to LA, and then we roast them, we pop them, we bake them, and then we season them. All here in Los Angeles, we still make our own AshaPops. We have not contracted it out to a co-packer. And then that's sort of the process, if you will. It does come from a part of India where, which is very economically disadvantaged. And so I think that, for us also, this is kind of awesome that we're able to sort of create a market for the farmers in those regions to sort of, sell this crop and make a better livelihood. And then number two, also, to sort of be able to sort of give back as well, right? So one of the pieces of this was for us to, take a portion of our proceeds and contribute it back to where we grow from. And one of the organizations that we contribute to is called, is part of the Sankara Eye Foundation.
I was going to ask you about
Yes.
that.
And so they contribute to this hospital system called Akan Jyoti, and they're in that state of Bihar, where basically when farmers get cataract or any of those smaller eye-related issues, which are smaller by American standards, but where they are, they can't really get surgeries or any of that. So then that stops them from being able to work, which then means that they don't have the money to sort of pay for their expenses, which then means that there have been times when we are told they've had to auction off their daughters because they don't have any money, which when we first heard about it sounded so extreme. So it's crazy. And so the person who started this nonprofit was someone who was so moved by it that he sort of moved to this state, and he started this organization. So the idea is that you set up multiple clinics across the growing regions, and you help these farmers get whatever surgeries they need, obviously, but then train their daughters to run the clinics, which I thought was really, personally
so
speaking, it was
amazing.
beautiful. Yeah, it's like a nice cycle. And so, so I think that's, so from a mission perspective as well, I felt like this really called to us. But I guess to answer your question in short, they come from India. They come from a specific variety, and we import the raw seeds from India, and then we roast them, pop them, and bake them here in Los Angeles.
So you have direct relationships with the farmers
Correct.
in India.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that's
Correct.
amazing. And thank you for giving back as well. And I know that that's what makes this even easier to promote, because you're doing it for the greater good, as cliche as that sounds.
Absolutely, but again, it's not us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep pointing to Anna. It's because it's people like Anna who supported us, and we're just sort of a means and a vessel to make it happen. So not to put Anna in a spot, but she represents
No,
all the
it's
people
so
who supported us. So
No, you were thinking about, you were saying so much,
No, I'm not
at that
thinking.
stage-
I'm not thinking.
at
She's
that
my best
stage,
friend. I
this
know.
is what
She's an
encouragement
angel.
and motivation
it's
you
selflessness,
need,
and so
Yes.
to grow. It's not money or your what you call your skill, or there is nothing like that. It is just amicable when a person comes and validates your
Yes.
your efforts, and gives you guidelines. This is this way. This would have been better. It helps so much. By paying money also, I cannot get professionals to tell me all that.
Yeah.
Because it's direct, like a customer to
And she's very loyal too.
So,
Like very.
and she
Yes.
didn't know us, neither we knew her. Out of just humanity and that.
it's amazing.
That's what we are still
It's
today not
amazing.
able to forget.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think you're making her whole life right now.
Yeah, no, you are.
No, but it's true. It's true. I don't think like it's.
See, neither we knew nor she knew that we would grow or do. But
Yeah.
it was at that time it has remained in our hearts
Yes.
and mind.
Yes.
Well, there are certain customer interactions, even that I have, that every time I have one, I'm
Yes.
like, I will remember this forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that just goes to show you how
Yeah.
important it is to know the founders behind the brand as well. Because if I had just seen the product on shelf but had no idea about you guys,
Yep.
I don't know. I probably would have still tried it, but now I have a deeper connection
Absolutely.
because I know who's making the product and what you guys stand for and your mission. You're living to give. You guys have just like so many amazing qualities, and you're passionate about what you do, and you're just amazing people. So
Right back, gotcha. And since we're on the subject as well, right? Like, you know, some people have asked us, like, how did you, when you were starting off, how did you get into Air One, right? Like, did you go online, apply on the form? Did you use a broker? And
You walked in.
no, actually,
No.
well, we did walk in. We tried that.
To the Beverly
We tried that, but
office.
there was. But what actually happened was so we do the Brentwood Farmers Market as well. We did a whole lot of farmers markets, and in the Brentwood one, we had this older lady. She was in her 70s or 80s, and if I don't mention her, then my mom's not going to be very happy with me because we can't do this podcast without mentioning her. And she passed away, so you know, God bless her. But she would come by every Sunday, and she'd have one of those. What's the right word?
Walker.
Yeah, and she'd come by, she'd just say hi, hello, she'd be like, oh my God, you know, she'd talk with mom for like 10, 15 minutes, and then she'd buy a few bags, and then, you know, she'd go away. She's like, she'd say, I'm going to some, you know, I think she was going to the church or something, and I can't remember. So we're like, all right, that's cool. And so every Sunday she would do that, right? And then at some point, she was like, why don't you get into these stores? Like, you know, I shop at Co-Opportunity, at Air One. I'm like, well, you know, we've been trying, but it's been hard. We haven't heard back. And she's like, oh, okay. And so she buys her bags and she goes off. And then like a month later, in that same week, I got a call from Co-Opportunity. And I'm like, she's like, we want to bring your products in. And we're like, yes. Oh my God. Like, that's so awesome, right?
Yeah.
And here we are, at least here I am thinking, yes, my sales prowess has paid off. And so we go back and forth. I'm like, so how did you hear about us? She's like, oh my, you know, there's this older lady who keeps walking by, and she really loves your product, and like she keeps coming by every week, and she'll drop off product. So that's how we heard about
God.
you. So I'm like, oh, okay, what a generous soul. That's awesome. Okay. I'm like, do you know the name? No, don't know the name. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then Air One. So I got an email from
Yes.
Tony on a Saturday night, and he responded telling Vicky, hey, we should look into this product, right? And so I look at this email thread, and this lady, Jeannie, had submitted an online form saying, oh my God, you must get AshaPops at Air One. And apparently she had done the same thing with Air One. She was going in and
My
like, so all the
God.
bags she was buying from us, we later found out she had cancer. So she was going through treatment and stuff. So apparently she could not eat it because of the spices or whatever. So literally she was buying product from us to help us out, and then just giving it to stores and stuff.
Oh my God.
And
But yeah,
so
I have the same reaction as Anna right now. I'm like, in
it's
shock.
crazy. And so she actually used to live around here. So on the first day when we launched at Air One, we
Yes.
demoed at Air One Santa Monica, and she's like, you know, she told us, when you get in, I want to be there for your first demo. So we let her know. So we picked her up. We went to the store. And there's a picture on her Instagram, which I think we need to pin. But she was there for the first day, and she was so happy for us. And again, so selfless. And
Selfless. That
she was going through so much.
We thought that, oh, you need your specialty. You should know how to make. You should be a good cook. You should know business tactics and everything. Not always. That just 50% you can say. 50% organically, with someone's grace, with someone's good vibes, with someone's I don't know. My English is not that great.
No,
But
it's-
it is dependent on so many good people that they come in
Wow.
your way. There is no key for good business. I think these
No.
are small blessings that they come on you.
Wow.
So yeah,
an
so
angel.
Yeah.
that's exactly that's what my mom calls
I
her
always
actually.
call her angel.
That's at this point
yeah.
that's all she calls her, and she truly was. So so we're really grateful to Jeannie as well, because it was just wow. When I heard
Wow.
about that, I was like, and then we'd get calls from like doctors' offices and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, Jeannie's a patient, and she wanted us to get AshaPops in here. So
This one must have been a very strong lady. She was
amazing.
able to.
Amazing.
I mean, wow.
So
that's
but-
incredible.
But yeah, so I mean, so yes, so Anna, Jeannie, and there's a lot of other people also who helped us, but yeah, a lot of grace.
Wow, wow.
Lot of
and they
grace.
would, yes, she's an angel, and she also wouldn't have been attracted to what you guys were building unless it was so vibrant and amazing. So there's also that too. Don't
And
forget
so-
that. Yeah, it's
It
you
starts with
guys.
you.
It starts with you guys.
And you know what? If that's what we're getting back, then praise the Lord. We
Yeah.
must be sending the right energy
Yeah.
because we got so much good energy back. It's a
Wow.
blessing.
Sometimes I
So.
feel it is also because when I'm always a housewife, right? I have always been a
Yeah.
housewife. I don't know how. First time in the farmers market, I was actually hesitating, standing, on the road. It's in like India, it would be like she's standing on the road and selling things. And so I had to come out of that.
Yes.
And plus, and second, then I realized, but what I had learned in my life was, we were in joint family. With love and good vibes, you need to make food. So when we started Asha, we made sure that our staff is without any stress, always pleasant. Any problem, please let us know. So when
Yes.
we took interview also, it's not that he employs not in his head, That means he's relaxed. We wanted them to make with the good vibes.
Yes, Anna and I talk about this always, to have good energy in the
Energy,
company,
very
and it translates into the product. And I just started hiring people and even working with people as contractors. If it's not the French Squirrel energy, or if
Yep.
it's not the
It's
AshaPops
important.
energy, or if it's not the Akasha Superfoods energy,
Yep.
it's not personal. Just
Yep.
I don't want that in my orbit.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm also the same way. I tell my assistant, if always tell me if there's a problem. Like, if you're not happy, tell me.
Exactly.
It's important.
It's just like, it's not worth it. We're all human.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the mindful eating, the mindful cooking, like all of that, just
Yes.
sort of bringing an intentionality to it, I think is
I think
is important.
globally, when that Last Supper or anything you see, every time when everyone sat on the dining table or something, they sat with with a prayer. Prayer brings down your
Yes.
blood pressure, thoughts, and now you start eating your
Yes.
food, right?
To be grateful.
So vibes have what energy you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
It does.
It helps you slow down before you eat, so you can actually
Yeah.
digest the food
Yes.
too,
Yes, very true.
and appreciate it before you eat. Because
So-
you're
Sorry, go ahead.
consuming that.
Yes. So would you recommend to other brands to start at the farmer's market as well? Or because we get questions about that also, should we start at the farmer's market, or is it not necessary? What are your thoughts based on your experience?
I think I'll answer for both of us. Absolutely, yes. I think farmers markets were amazing because it really allowed us to test multiple things. Number one is, do people really like this product in the first place? Number two, when we started off, the flavors we had, and Anna knows this, are completely, well, for the most part, completely different from what we have now. Because we had this notion of, okay, this is what we think people will like in terms of flavors, and
Yes.
we got so much feedback, for better or for worse. And so I think farmers markets have been amazing because it allowed us to sort of quickly test and iterate. Number two, it allowed us to understand who really resonates or likes this product and why, which is important. And number three, really just build the early community, right? Like, just
Yeah.
build a early fan following. And it's been amazing because 7 years later as well, like, again, back to Anna, things come full circle. But then also, like, I'll get emails like, oh my God, I met you at the whatever farmer's market, and I just saw you at Mother's Market, and I was like, oh my God, you guys are still around. That's so awesome,
Do you
right?
still do farmers markets today?
We don't. We actually
Okay.
stopped after COVID, especially because of our age.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now
of
we do
course.
events. But I think we are going to start getting back into the farmers markets to like test for, because we're looking to launch new products
Oh,
as well.
wow.
So before doing that, we'll definitely do some farmers markets, as well as when we launch new flavors.
What's your most popular flavor?
The vegan cheese.
Vegan cheese.
The vegan cheese
Okay.
for sure. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, for sure, like there is absolutely no downside. But having said that, I think one of the pieces of advice I got when I was talking to another entrepreneur when we were starting off was, do the farmers markets, but don't stay in them for too long. Like,
Yeah.
move on and sort of get into natural food stores and try
Totally.
and sort of keep growing versus just staying in the farmers markets. I mean, if you want to just be a farmers markets business, that's fine. I mean, power to you. But if you're trying to grow a bigger business, then start to get into other channels as well.
And especially because your time is so limited as a small team
Yes.
and as two founders,
Yes.
you guys really have to figure out where you want your time to go.
Exactly.
When you're selling the product.
Especially with LA traffic.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned that you still manufacture your own
Yes.
product.
Yes.
What are the challenges that you've had with that? Are you looking for a co-packer, someone else to create your product?
So, there's a lot of challenges just in general around supply chain and logistics, and then just day-to-day operations. I think what made it really hard for us was COVID, which I'm sure is for all businesses, but it was really challenging sort of getting things on time, making everything happen and sort of delivering to schedule. So I think for us, number one, supply chain and logistics. There was a government shutdown. I can't remember when this was. I think it was 2019 or 2020. And the ports basically, slowed down processing, and all our seeds were like stuck at on the ship. But the ship was literally at LA port, but it just wasn't being unloaded. So that week was really tough because I'm like, oh my God, we have no product. We have no seeds. We have no seeds. We've had issues where we've had finished product that was sent out in a truck, and then, that was all of our product, and, we were super small scale, and the truck was missing. So we checked tracking, and it's like, no answer. And I'd be calling the guy, I'm like, so where's the truck? And it's like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. And so that was, again, like nerve-wracking. So just stuff like that was really it was challenging to deal with, and it still is, but I think you just learn to sort of deal with it better, and sort of also as you get slightly bigger, you're able to sort of plan for it more.
Yeah.
But I think that could be an entire podcast in itself, operation challenges. There's a lot.
That could definitely be one. I think we all have this in common because people forget that this is a natural product in the initial stages, and especially getting the fresh seeds, right?
Yep.
And that's coming from a different country.
Exactly.
And then with us, we have dates that are being, from Coachella Valley, and it's produce, essentially.
Yep.
It's not like a plastic.
Yeah, it's a living thing.
It's a living thing, if you will. Exactly, a living thing, and the same with sea moss.
Yep.
And you had that issue too when you were importing sea moss as well. It's a live organism.
Yep.
That's the difference. It's not just plastic cups.
Yeah, and it's hard to control for that.
Yeah.
And then
sometimes I feel, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
Those who go for snacks or something, what big mistake they do is, they compare oranges with apple. Like a flour item snack made out of some flour
Yes.
and all that, corn flour or wheat flour or any flour, and comparing with this fresh produce,
Yes.
items.
Yes.
It has to be so different, that is more economical flour, but health-wise, we want to give fresh thing, right?
Yes.
It is a different thing,
Yes.
But people wonder why the price is like this, and
And there's a lot
You
behind the
understand what I'm trying to
price.
say?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I
I guess
do.
their point is it's not an extruded snack. Like they
Yes.
show us corn puffs and be like, look, this is a corn puff, and like yours is a lily seed. Like, what's the Yeah, I get it, but it's like the same. It's light. It tastes good. Like what's the difference?
It's a whole
It's a whole seed by itself. Which makes me realize I didn't completely answer your question. So the seeds are peanut sized when they first come out.
Okay.
And as they're roasted and popped and stuff, they sort of become this puff that you see in the bag.
Right.
But they're
When
peanut
you-
sized.
When you were growing up, did you eat the seeds themselves, or did you eat them when they were puffed?
when they were puffed at
When they
home,
were puffed, okay.
my mother used to do it. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
But they'd sort of eat it more plain. They just sort of some salt and I think that's it. Salt and pepper, and they just eat it plain because they typically eat it also, from what I hear, when they were on fasting days. So this is something you could eat when you were fasting.
Just till today, when we are fasting, we have to have this. It keeps you full, plus it has all the nutritions. So we till today in India, fasting days everywhere, you'll see this is already there.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Sorry,
I was
go
just gonna say it's so cool how this is like a medicinal snack because you used it for your sleep, you used it for, did you say back pain?
And menstrual cramps.
Menstrual cramps.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like a functional snack, whereas a lot of snacks on the market are just empty calories.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're just inflammatory, whereas this
Yeah.
actually has nutrients and benefits to it.
Yeah, and communicating that I think is part of the challenge.
I was going to ask, how has the education been? Like, well, obviously it's well received
Yeah, I think the education piece is one of the most challenging parts, and I think what really helped us with that were these events that we did, farmers markets, and then a lot of demos at Air One. I mean, Air One was an amazing launch pad for us. It was phenomenal. So grateful to the Air One team, Vicky and Tony for that Saturday night email.
Yeah.
But all of the grocery managers as well. I think Air One was amazing in helping us sort of educate, because a lot of the customers would post on Instagram, and through Instagram we'd be able to communicate with them and sort of express to them that, this is the value prop. Mom would like talk to them. And so I think it was these sort of grassroots events. We did Smorgasburg, which was also awesome in downtown. I think it was their first one in LA when they started off, and all those events really helped, I think. But it continues to be something that we have to work on, and it remains a challenge, right? Because it's so new.
But I think there is no lock made without key. When God gives problems, so that He always gives solutions. So always look for there is a solution.
Love that.
That's my coach right here.
I love that. Chief Energy Officer.
No, really, this is what my life experience is telling. Nothing is, it is just for every problem there is a solution. They come together.
Wow.
We have to find out the solution.
You got to take that one. I like that one.
That was incredible.
There's always a key to every lock.
Yes.
I love it.
And I feel like that's actually one of the most fun parts of this journey, because if it was easy, it would be
Amen.
boring.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
how cool is it that you get to educate people on something that's helped you personally and be able to share that gift with the world? It's really incredible.
Yeah, that's when we do the farmers markets, to be honest, we were just having fun. Like, people would come by, like they'd bring their kids over, and the kids would be playing with her, and like people would stop by and talk to her, talk to me, and we'd just be having a good time. And I think that's really what made it fun. It was just being able to sort of interact with people, hang out, and still be able to sort of communicate, what AshaPops is about. But just, they were having fun, we were having fun, and that was just good energy all around. Thanks to Mom, of course.
Okay, so to shift gears a little bit, what tips do you have for other entrepreneurs who want to succeed in the CPG space and retail, and I know you guys do e-com also.
Yes.
What has that split been like, and do you have any advice for any listeners who
So, I mean, I have to start this with humility to say that I'm learning as we go, and we're learning as we go. So we made plenty of mistakes along the way. But I think for us, because we're a bootstrap company, our answers might be different from someone who's raised venture capital. But as a bootstrap company, I think for us, it was important to sort of stay small and be slow initially and get the feedback we needed to make the tweaks to product and get the product right. And of course, that is, that's a continual process. You don't just stop at some point, but get the product right and not be in a rush. A lot of what my job initially was, to be honest, was to just say no. There's so many things that we wanted to do, but we just didn't have the money for it. And so it was like, no. And so focusing on a specific region, a home region, and then just owning it. Like, we're from LA, we make it in LA. Let's just, focus on LA versus trying to sort of go nationwide or like trying to like expand too fast. And I think that's what we did for like 3 or 4 years at least. We were just LA. And I think that's important, is to just sort of test and iterate in a smaller, closed environment so that you can sort of fix the mistakes that you make before you start to scale across the board, especially in the food industry, because, I mean, it's costly in tech as well, but it's easy to sort of take software versions back and sort of iterate. But when it comes to food, and you've opened up with like UNFI or KeHE and the distribution centers, it's really hard to sort of go out there and then sort of start to pull back.
Are you with both of them?
We are now,
Okay,
yes.
wow.
But yeah, it's so I think better to get it right. And and we actually did a lot of direct distribution initially. We only started with UNFI in like 2020. So the first 3 years was all direct. And that was also a learning experience, to be honest. And that was amazing because you talk to the grocery managers as well.
Yeah.
We do direct deliveries. The managers would give us feedback. And to this day, some of them still have my cell phone number. And if they don't get a UNFI delivery, they will call me. And I love it. It's awesome.
Great.
But I think all of those pieces, I mean, I think if you have more targeted questions, happy to answer them. But I think at a high level, that would be my advice. Mom, would you have any others?
Yeah, I would just say that initially think that you are still starting from first grade. You're still in the kindergarten, You have a lot of things to, because business is not only making the product and to
Yeah.
bring it to the shelf. Lot of things go in.
So
on your
many
way.
things.
So many things. So go slow so you can handle it.
Yeah.
And don't get discouraged at all with anything. Don't get discouraged. But initially be slow. Then you can, buck up. But initially don't be in a hurry, or you will just lose money, or, do grave mistakes which you cannot again, you know.
Yeah, you don't get that many shots
Shots,
either.
yes.
Yeah.
So be very cautious, Like
Yeah.
Very calculated risks.
And I think really figure out who your core demographic is, who your customer really is, because sometimes you get a lot of feedback and it's hard to figure out what who to listen to and who not to listen to. So
Yeah.
it's important to have that sort of true north of this is what we feel, these are our values. So establishing that to begin with, and then B, sort of saying, okay, like I've got all this feedback, but like out of all of this feedback I got from so many different people, it could be like my aunt, my uncle, my cousin's cousin, yada yada yada. But like, who truly is my customer? Who really loves us?
Yeah.
And like, let's listen to them. And then even then, like, think through like, is it aligned with our values? So we've always been vegetarian, right? And we've always got recommendations for flavors for a barbecue flavor, which makes a lot of sense, right? But for us, it's not authentic to us. We
Yeah.
didn't grow up eating that flavor. Even if we tried to make it, we wouldn't. But if we tried, we probably wouldn't be able to do it justice because none of us like it. And so
Yeah.
I just use that as a
like it, I've never had it.
Yeah.
well, which is why we don't like it.
So it's
Which is why we don't like it. Yeah.
I've never tasted
Yes.
it.
Yeah, and I have cousins who love it, so I'm not saying like it's a great flavor.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
true to us, and so I think that's important too because sometimes it's hard. Everyone has an opinion, which is great because
Yeah.
it's good to listen, but then distilling what you should truly focus on versus listen as an opinion piece that's hard too, and I think that's something that I continue to learn personally speaking.
Right, and maintaining the brand integrity. That's
Yes,
why like growing
exactly.
slower
Yes.
is better, so that you
Yeah.
can also like make sure that the quality of the product stays the same.
Yes, exactly.
Especially with a specialty product, it is hard to scale it. I mean,
Yeah.
both Sydney and I have experience
Yeah.
with that. So
It's tough.
We understand it's tough.
Yeah.
What does your day-to-day look like for both of you?
It never looks the same, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed over the years, but right now it's basically spend half a day on calls with either customers or my team, and then the other half is like doing outdoorsy stuff. So it's either going to our production space, our kitchen, going to retail stores, or just having meetings, or even like just meeting. Honestly, time flies by, but yeah, I think that would be the split. But honestly, no day is the same. Every day is different, and every month is different. Recently, we've started doing a lot more trade shows. So now we do like 3 trade shows a year. And so when we do that, then prepping for the trade show, you go to the trade show, and then post-trade show follow-ups and stuff. So but I think in general, that's how I would describe it. If you describe anything else you'd add to that?
I feel that it's like a soul on a journey. Each one, timings are different, our luck is different.
Yes.
So I feel, just follow your instincts and just go on, and you'll keep on climbing. Don't have fear of anything. If fear is there, then you cannot progress.
Yes.
Just you try your best and listen to your instincts and your values. Don't give up for some feedback which doesn't tally with your
Yes.
values.
Instincts always.
Instincts,
Yeah.
And just go on. Is there some force which pulls you once you start making an effort?
Yeah.
So this piece, I'm blessed to have worked with my mother on this because
Yeah.
she's been saying this for she's my mother, so for years. But to be able to sort of witness it truly happen and manifest has been amazing. And I think this is something that I struggled with earlier on is like, we'd have this opinion and we'd listen, we'd have experienced people tell us like, you should do that. And I'd be like, but mom, like they've been in this industry for so long, like maybe we're wrong. She's like, yeah, but what does your gut say? And I'm like, well, my gut says this, then let's just go for it. And so I think that's the piece that I've gotten better at is just listening to my gut. And of course, that doesn't mean that, we're always right.
No.
But just going with the gut, I think, has been the biggest learning for us is that nobody really has the answer. That doesn't mean you don't listen to advice. That's not what I'm saying. But like also be true to your own inner voice. And that's hard to do sometimes.
As you youngsters, I so many times I see him, we serve hot bread and all that.
Okay.
So I'm serving him and I see his food is still in his mouth. He's not even moving his mouth. He's so stressed out. oh my God, I said, Jay, then this business is not for us. If it can bring that stress, do it like a play. You go for like a sportsman. Just give your best shot. But this Aika, you are making me feel very heavy and sad. You know? You should stop this then, you know. So I just would tell you, all youngsters, don't get stressed out. Please don't get stressed out. It is only those moments which will pass away. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to unlearn the patterns, right, of stress in the business, because a lot of it you can't control, right? So when someone messes something up or something gets messed up in the supply chain, it's like a lot of it you have to throw your hands up because you can't do anything about it. But I like what you said about trusting your instinct. I know that Anna and I both do that all the time, and it's not always right, but it's still working that muscle.
Yep.
And eventually it becomes stronger, the instinct.
Yep.
And now it's rarely wrong.
Yep.
I feel like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
and even when it's wrong, it's more of a pivot.
Yes,
Still
exactly.
learn something.
Exactly.
from it.
mistake or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Still a pivot. So what trade shows do you guys go to?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Thus far we've done distributor trade shows, so like UNFI trade shows, KHE trade shows, and we just did our first sweets and snacks this year. But for the most part, we've done distributor trade shows. We are gonna get for the first time next year, we're gonna do a booth at Expo, so that's gonna be be fun. But yeah, for the most part, we've always stuck to the distributor ones because, again, personally speaking, like in these distributor trade shows, they give you an iPad, and if someone wants to place an order, then boom, there's an iPad. You know,
I've contemplated doing them. I wasn't sure if they were helpful. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's been awesome for us. I mean, not to
Wow.
say that the other trade shows have not, but I feel like with this one, it's cheaper, and then B, it's like they can place an order right away, and so as a bootstrap company, that's been really helpful.
Right. We did our first Expo West for French Squirrel, and Anna helped me at
Nice.
our booth this year.
Nice.
And it was one of those. It was our first one.
How was it?
And oh my God, it was crazy. Oh my God, it was one of those things where I did it to prove to myself that I could do it.
Yeah.
I kept saying, "Oh, next year I'll do it. Next year I'll
Yep.
do it. Next year," and it was kind of this unknown thing, like Expo West, like
Yep.
dun dun dun. It was like a very daunting thing. I don't know. I guess I've just always been like this since I was a kid. I had to figure out this unknown thing. Like I got to do it. Just got to do it.
Yeah.
And I swear, I feel like I can do anything now after that.
There you go. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm being
yeah.
serious. Like that, it totally, it took everything out of me. I don't want to glamorize the like no sleeping thing.
Yeah.
But because that's not good either. But oh my God, we were on so much adrenaline.
Yeah.
Anna and I, we were in the same hotel room. We could not sleep
Wow.
because it
Peanut
was
butter chocolate.
clusters. Yes, because we were repeating the same thing
Yeah.
to thousands of people. Peanut butter, dark chocolate cereal, custard.
And you're so wired, right?
And then we were wired
Yeah.
to the point that we're sitting in the hotel room and laying in bed. And we're like peanut butter, you know.
That's awesome.
It was crazy.
I know how that feels like. Yeah.
I, with certainty, I could not have done that with the help of my friends.
Yep.
Who graciously helped me for the show. I could do anything after that.
Yeah, we're
It
gonna need
was-
advice from you for
Oh,
Expo.
yeah.
But
I already
that's-
signed up for next year.
Yeah, but that's how I felt. We were like, we'll do Expo next year, and then at this point, we're like, you know what, we just got to do it, and so that's
Yeah.
why I literally just 3 weeks ago we signed up. So,
Okay, amazing.
but yes, advice please, because
Oh, yeah.
we've heard it's
Well,
pretty intense.
for people listening, the placement of the booth is obviously the most important
Yeah.
thing, but then you don't really know where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we were in hot products.
Okay.
Last year, and this goes back to what you're saying about energy and feeling. So I'm
Yeah.
tying this to something.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at Zinc in Venice, and I was showing you the map for 2025 because I had done it for this year, and we were in the hot product section, like new, hot, exciting.
Yep.
It's for people listening. I got comments about it, like, "Oh, does it mean hot, like warm?" No, it means like hot, like new.
Yeah.
And I would still say we're 4 years in business almost. It's still new.
Yeah.
But then I had two options to do the downstairs, where it's huge, or the upstairs where I just did it and it was in a smaller space.
Yep.
It was a little bit more, and it already the show is stressful.
Yep.
So I kept saying I was envisioning myself like in the space.
Yep.
And I was like, where do I want to be? Forget what's better for business. What's going to be better for me to feel good?
Yeah, that's important.
And I remember feeling so overwhelmed when I was downstairs that I said, I'm going to do it again upstairs. It was smaller. I felt like it was more startup, like small businesses. And the energy was a little bit not as shark-like. I don't know if you agree with me, but I booked it there and that was my instinct. And if I get less customers from it, okay.
Yeah, but at least you'll show up with better energy, and so you'll hopefully convert better.
So I chose that on the map
Sydney's
again.
booth was popping the whole
That's
time.
awesome.
I mean, there was so many
because of
people.
you, all of us.
Every single person that she knew came by.
That's
it was
awesome.
incredible.
It was insane.
That's amazing.
You guys are going to have the same thing.
We're gonna have a
Seriously.
blast.
We're excited for
We
it.
were having a whole dance party and there was no music even.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves these trade shows. Mom just loves them. So like, I'm glad she was able to do all 3 trade shows this year, and it was fun. It was fun.
I love that.
good.
What were your guys' first hires?
A good question.
So for us, I think the first hires were to help us make the product, because it was Mom and I making the product, and more Mom. And at some point, she was starting to have like shoulder pain, and so I'm like, okay, this is not good. We need to. And they found us, to be honest, which is again a blessing, because we were making it out of a commissary kitchen near Culver City, and so we'd go in, we make a product, we get out, and our first production hire would talk to Mom, and at some point she was just like, "I love you, Asha. I want to work for you." And I was like, "But we can't afford it. We can't afford it." And then like Mom's like, "No, we'll make it work. We'll make it work." And that was our first hire, and she's still with us 6 years later, and she's awesome. But that was our first. So production hire was the first one, and then we also got Jessica, who was helping us with sort of outreach, Instagram, so on and so forth. So I think those were the first 2 hires that we had. One was production, and the other one was like sales outreach and social media. And it's been a journey since.
Amazing. So where can listeners find you if they want to connect with you? I know that you guys post on social media and you're big on events, and I've seen these in all the influencer events that I've been to, so you're clearly doing a good job with that. And if you want to share your Instagram handle, website, anything where listeners can find you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are looking for like a low-calorie, allergen-free snack, it's AshaPops. They're popped water lily seeds. You can find us on our Instagram, Asha Superfoods. Also our TikTok handle, also our LinkedIn handle. I also personally check the Instagram, and then my email is jai@ashapops.com. So any feedback, good or bad, we shall take with humility. But yeah, thank you for having us. And Mom, anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you
you.
so much.
No,
It's so nice
seriously.
to exchange our ideas, na?
It's so special. Thank you. And you are our first duo on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
We really appreciate it to get
Appreciate it.
both perspectives, and it's really amazing, and I'm honored to be a part of this full circle moment here. So
It's a blessing.
It's a blessing. And I can't wait to see what else you guys create. Because I know you said you had you're going to create more things, right?
You're going to get the first sample. So
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
guys.
ladies. Appreciate you guys.
Meeting you guys.